You know, folks, it's funny what desperation will do, and that's the place Disney is now diving into. A desperate spot where they need something hot, and where are they going to go? Oh, look at this! It's a director from the past who's coming back, perhaps for the last time. Folks, we're here to tell you the modern era of Pixar may be coming to an end, and they've brought back a friend to help them celebrate with Toy Story 5. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel that is changing hearts and minds simply by telling the truth every single day, explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's what we do, we love it, we're passionate about it, and we're passionate about Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter for That Park Place, joining us yet again. Welcome back, sir.
So good to be here, bro. What's going on this morning? I'm hearing that Pixar is digging the depths in order to mine for the gold.
Yes, well, it's a sunny upside sort of day, and let's take a look at this, Jonas. This is World of Real, and this is a real story, folks, pun intended, of course, and it's a bad one. Jordan Ruamy, who we have read before, is the author here. Andrew Stanton, now pegged for being the director of Toy Story 5. We'll talk about that in just a moment, folks. And, of course, we're going to talk about the fact that this could be the end of the Pixar era, and we mean that, and we'll tell you why in just a moment. Folks, as we dive in, you dive into that like button, click it just one time, not twice. And if you do twice, well, thrice. That'll make it nice. And anyway, on Friday, after an advanced screening of Inside Out 2, Pixar, CCO, Pete Docter seemingly confirmed that the upcoming Toy Story 5 will be directed by longtime Pixar filmmaker Andrew Stanton. Stanton has directed 3 Pixar films in his career, including Finding Nemo, WALL-E, and both of those won an Oscar for animated feature. He's also written 8 films for the company, including Toy Story, Toy Story 2, A Bug's Life, WALL-E, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo. He is a legend of Pixar and took a break from animation after making 2012's John Carter, which, by the way, in hindsight, Jonas, this is really something funny. You know, back in 2012, that was considered a huge black eye to Disney. It was a colossal failure. I submit to you now, Jonas, they would enjoy having a John Carter on their slate. They'd take a John Carter any day after last year. What do you think about that?
No, you're absolutely correct. They would be shouting it to the heavens if they had John Carter numbers this year. Also, if that was back at the time when they would prefer to forget that level of mediocre, not mediocre filmmaking, but mediocre box office take.
Yes. So, Jonas, it's looking like that they're going to have Stanton back at least one more time, and probably for the last time, honestly. I mean, everybody's getting a little bit older. We're not wishing poorly on anyone, but this is going to the best and brightest they could possibly acquire at this point, and I think it's because they are tired of losing. I think Bob Iger knows they cannot continue to sustain these kinds of losses with the kinds of movies and streaming shows they've been putting out. I mean, look at what's happening to them with The Acolyte. Look at what has happened to Star Wars. Look at what has happened with Marvel. Look what's happened to all of their most recent Pixar and Disney animated films. Nothing is working, and they're going back to somebody who absolutely works. Jonas, what I would submit to you is, I suspect, though, that Toy Story 5 is the end of the era. And so I think that we're going to look back in history at Pixar, starting off with Toy Story the first, and going right up until Toy Story 5, and there's going to be a hard shift. We'll talk about why in just a moment. Before we do, though, Jonas, tell folks out there your opinion of Disney managing to coax back Mr. Stanton to lead Toy Story 5. Is this a home run, a grand slam, or somewhere?
Well, it's
less?
Complicated, as so many things are. Obviously, they still have Peter Sohn. He directed Elemental, and he's been there for a long time. But he's not exactly the guy they go to when they want to hit. He was the director of Good Dinosaur, which I would say was that wasn't as well received. I'll put it that way. Also, of course, Inside Out came out that same year under Pete Docter, who was under Lasseter at the time. This is the factor that they're missing now, is John Lasseter forcing the brain trust over there at Pixar and making it so that everyone is accountable to each other. You have all of these filmmakers working together to make this film into something great. That was the kind of thing they used to have at Pixar when John Lasseter was there. And it made it so each one of these directors had basically a conclave of other directors and other creatives working together to make these films into the most potent product they could be. And now what we're hearing is that if the brain trust does exist, it only exists in name only, where you're getting some feedback, but you can ignore it, and you don't want to push back too far, especially if you're one of these white guys here. If you're getting feedback from a member of a different, more oppressed group than you better watch out when you get that feedback. Also, if you are a white guy, you better not be giving too strong of feedback. You say it's a different era there for Pixar. I would say that era probably ended around 2018, maybe 2019, possibly 2017. If you think about Coco being the last great film out of Pixar. Maybe Toy Story 4 could be argued as that, but it's kind of a retread and a reversal on previous Toy Story films. And now you have Bob Iger saying things like trying to avoid using the next toy. He's trying to avoid saying 5 when he says, and the next iteration of the Toy Story franchise.
That's right. Finding Nemo 12 doesn't have the same ring to it as coming up with some new subtitle. But Jonas,
one more thing here.
Yes.
Anderson has technically been on the payroll at Pixar for quite some time, but he's been off doing other things. He directed a few episodes of Stranger Things, Better Call Saul. He's been honing his chops, and he's supposed to be working on something called In the Blink of an Eye for Searchlight, which last time I checked, Searchlight still owned by Disney. So he's still in the Rolodex. He's still on the company phone plan here. And that was supposed to come out, I want to say last month, and is still not out. So I'm wondering what is going on with Andrew Stanton right now that he's also open to coming back to Pixar.
Well, just as you said, they probably had to dust off the phone directory just to figure out how to get hold of this guy. But he is a legend. And to clarify, Jonas, when I say that this is the end of an era with Toy Story 5, I'm not talking about the qualitative side of things. I think that you're exactly right. They have eliminated at Disney and across many of their studios, not just Pixar, but they have eliminated the brain trust. They have knocked themselves off of the Pareto curve, right? And that's that curve that if you manage to be at the very top, you should do everything in your sensible power to not disrupt that, because being at the top is so rare and so difficult to do that everything you do should be an attempt to keep that golden goose alive. What I'm talking about, Jonas, when I say that this is going to be likely the end of an era, is a technical era. And so, Jonas, if you would, please pull up the tweet that you have.
Absolutely.
And let's take a look at this. Read that for the audience, Jonas, and then I want to dissect what I think is happening here.
Yep, this is a tweet from the Monty Verse. As you can see, it's at a screening of Inside Out 2. On the left is Pete Docter. I'm not completely sure who this gentleman is on the right. Maybe he's an interviewer from the location. But after our screening of Inside Out 2, Pixar CEO Pete Docter said that animation is going to evolve and look very different in the next several years. He also seemingly revealed that the upcoming Toy Story 5 will be directed by longtime Pixar director Andrew Stanton.
And then we should also say, Jonas, what does it say on the little graphic there that's behind the projected?
Well, it looks like it's cut off the theatrical date, but it says that the review embargo is June 12th at something with a 1 at the start of it. So I'm going to guess 11 a.m. Pacific, maybe 12 Pacific, something like that.
That's right, folks. And so you can expect the pixie dusters and the shills. They'll be out with their glowing reviews on that day, doing what they can do to get their special cupcakes and get their backpacks and their swag, and they'll leave an open runway to us. Now, if the movie's good, if Inside Out 2 is good, then so be it. I'll be happy to praise it, because that's what we do. We gave X-Men 97 an 8.5 out of 10, despite the fact that I think there are some underlying ethos issues inside that show. Still, I give it an 8.5 out of 10 because we believe in calling balls and strikes. But folks, we'll have that review for Inside Out 2 coming out here on this channel Thursday the 13th during a live special edition of the Pro Show that'll take place at about 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're also going to launch the huge creative new effort that we're doing here. We're going to announce what that is tomorrow. It's a busy schedule coming up, but we'll have our review coming out on Thursday. The reason that we don't release early, folks, is because we don't want to be on media lists. We don't want to jump through the hoops that are required for them to send us stuff early. No quid pro quos is our mantra. Jonas, the thing that we need to talk about, though, is this suggestion that animation is going to change the next few years. Here's what I think is happening. I think that Doctor is talking about the rise of AI. And I don't want to be the channel that failed to tell people what's coming up. And then people say, well, Pro, you didn't see this happening. How did you keep us ahead of the culture curve? And I know some people, they kind of just exit out when we bring up AI. But I'm here to tell you, I think that artificial intelligence over the next few years is going to disrupt things to such a degree that animation is going to change forever. And so that's why, Jonas, I say that we are at the end of an era. We are coming to the end of the CGI era. And we are going to go to a new place where you have technicians and you have prompters and you have people who are doing the cleanup and the post and all of this stuff. But much of the work of 3D animators is, I think, going to go away. And that doesn't bring me joy to say that. I, at one point, was a 3D animator. So, I love, the parts of this. I love the polygons. And yet I recognize that AI is going to disrupt everything. Please, Jones.
Being an artificial intelligence myself, I have no fear of the upcoming wave of artificially animated.
Continue on, Siri, please, yes. Mr. Grok.
I just want to say this is a tool to be used. I forget who said it, but no, it was one of the co-CEOs over there at Netflix that said that AI is not going to take your job, but the guy who uses AI might take your job here. It's going to be used. The thing that I see here is a fear that AI will stop innovation in some way, as we'll just end up in some photocopied Xerox nightmare of everything being a copy of a copy of a copy, in a way that well, I guess kind of describes the current problem in Hollywood right now. And really, Hollywood has created the problem where people could say, well, I could write a better one at home, and given them so much confidence that they could do it better.
They're a sequel assembly line of suck.
Exactly. So when you say, for $100 you can get an establishing shot, or for 1,000 or thousands you can go out and shoot one yourself, I think most fiscally responsible people will pay $100 for that exterior shot. So, I think this is something that's going to happen, and this will allow them to experiment more quickly. And I don't know. I think it's going to lay bare whether or not they actually have the talent to tell stories, because telling stories is going to be the real skill exposed here. When everyone has the same ability to make amazing things appear on screen, it's going to be the storytelling that has to shine through.
Boy, that's exactly the point to be made, Jonas. We are entering an era where it's going to come down to creativity, and it's going to come down to your own mind and the team of people who have the mind to make it. Jonas, what do you make, though? Because I think we need to pause and we need to take in where we are. And some out there have already sort of drifted out of this, and they're saying these guys have lost their minds. But we promise, folks, we know what we're talking about. Jonas, there was a time when everything was hand drawn. There was a time when everything was done with ink and pencil and paper, and that time came to an end. I mean, nobody is doing that anymore, essentially. I mean, it's less than 0.1% of all animation. And, they sort of pushed out the old men and all of their proteges. And I kind of wonder, I don't think too many people are going to miss this latest crop of animators and writers at Pixar if AI comes in and sweeps them out the door. I don't think we're going to miss them like we did the hand-drawn stuff, because they have utterly corrupted the pipeline.
Right. I'll give you for an example on Inside Out, that effervescent look that all of them have, because it was based on joy and that bubbling skin and that idea of the kind of glowy, interesting look. People don't remember these things. People don't show up to the box office because of the innovation of an interesting way. Like for instance, figuring out the texture on Davy Jones in the second Pirates of the Caribbean film. That is an interesting technical story, but that's not, an interesting technical fact, but it is not something that gets people to go, you know what, I'm going to go watch that movie again, unless you're a person that is very specifically interested in visual effects. Inside Out 2 is not going to be watched because of an innovation in the animation. It's going to be watched because they tell a story that connects with, hopefully a story that connects with little kids and isn't dangerous to little kids. but that'll remain to be seen. Over and over again, the Walt Disney animators had, when they made Snow White, so many amazing technical achievements stacked on top of each other. Pinocchio is an excellent example of a film, just in the same way that Bug's Life was a masterclass. If Toy Story was the bachelor's degree, Pinocchio was the masterclass. If Snow White was the bachelor's degree, but those aren't the known properties in the same way, because when it comes down to it, it just always goes back to story. The story of Snow White, the story of Woody and Buzz, and this very relatable tale about a guy who's on top of the world and he thinks he's being supplanted by this cool new spaceship toy. It's you can fascinate people for a moment, but long term they're going to hold on to the things that are tried and true. I don't mean to be old man shakes fist at cloud here, but it's been proven over and over and over again that you have to tell good stories. And I wonder if that's what's missing altogether from Pixar at this moment, and maybe even Walt Disney Animation.
Jonas, I don't take from you that you're the geezer on the porch yelling at the kids, "Get off my CGI lawn." I think you've made an amazing point, and it's one that made me smile, because you're exactly right. No matter what happens with how we produce entertainment, no matter if it goes to AI, and by the way, folks, that's going to mean that people are behind that, moving the levers and the meters and prompting and all of this. This is always going to be a human endeavor, because, Jonas, computers have no need for story. Now, we're programming them to play around with stories and to write stories and all of that sort of thing, but storytelling is uniquely human. And it's uniquely human because telling a story is a specifically qualitative experience, right? Computers, they read numbers. They read zeros and ones ultimately when you break it down. And computers, they take directions and they follow them. They're binary. But humans experience the morals of a moral landscape, right? Apologies, folks, for being a little bit redundant there. But we experience stories. We have this qualia, right? This touch, this feel, this taste, all of these things that are not specifically and limited to simply instructional or factual information. We're beyond that. We have this whatever this meta experience is that makes us who we are, in which everything is filtered through. And stories are the way in which we encounter the world before we encounter the world, if you get my drift. That's the reason for storytelling, is to gather around the fire and to hear about what happened to said hero. And then when it is your turn to face whatever dragon it might be, then you might be better off because you experienced it already. And folks, you experienced it already, and computers don't do that. So this whole thing about where we're going, Jonas, I think you're exactly right. Those who do that the best, those who help us conquer the dragons in our minds before the dragons arise in the real world, the people who do that best are going to rise up again. And we'll see. We'll see what happens technically. But I do think that we need to take notice of the fact that we probably are coming to the end of this CGI era, of this Pixar era. And what lays beyond that door, I don't know. But I know that it'll be fun. It'll be colorful, because that's what we enjoy. And I think, too, Jonas, that we need to say that no matter what happens, this is likely the end of the Toy Story era. I mean, I don't know if they want to recast Tom Hanks and Tim Allen and all of them, but
it didn't go so well for them last time they tried to recast.
No, don't. We beg of you, don't. Okay, To Infinity and Beyond comes from Tim, but I think that we are reaching the end of this. Toy Story, what, came out in 94, 95?
Yep, 1994.
So, it's been a great ride.
I take that back. November 22nd, 1995.
So it's been a great ride, and all things must come to an end. Jonas, end us in this conversation with your thoughts on what I've just said, and anything else you would like to add, please.
No, it really can't be stated well enough here that it is a good thing that Andrew Stanton is coming back. And if this is the end of storytelling at Pixar, by the way, there's going to be a story coming out on that Park Place very soon, talking about what's going on over at Skydance Animation right now. There's an incredible amount of talent that is being absorbed into that organization, and there is some speculation right now that the Paramount merger is very focused on Skydance Animation in particular, and whatever is going on with John Lasseter. So there'll be several stories, in fact, coming out talking about that, and how you have all these seasoned storytellers that are going over there to that organization. And I get it. Pixar is trying their best to develop new talent. Why are they trying their best to develop new talent? Because the established talent is not there hitting it out of the park. Yeah, exactly.
Left often involuntarily because, my gosh, what bad decision making.
Name a Disney hit from the last few years, and you'll find out that that person might have gone over to Skydance Animation. It's an amazing thing. As I went through, even Vash, I named one person, and he said, "Oh, actually." This is a problem that Disney has right now. They need to be the top so that they can attract the top talent, because no longer are they the king of the hill and able to pull in talent based on the name recognition alone. It sounds like they've got a nightmare of an organization going right there, and creating greatness is no longer the trend. It sounds like it's an uphill battle where no one is pushing with you. They're pushing against you.
You're exactly right, Jonas. And that's why people wonder, why can Disney not do what they once did? Well, folks, you can wear a Lakers shirt. You're not Kobe Bryant. You can wear a Spurs shirt. You're not Tim Duncan. Put on the Bulls jersey. You're not Michael Jordan. And, in this case, they are bringing back a Michael Jordan. They are bringing it back somebody who, if given the team, and if they will respect him, he can bring Toy Story 5 to us in an excellent way and perhaps close out this chapter. And we will relish in it if it is good. Hopefully, it's great. Jonas, you are also doing great things. Tell the folks out there what you've got coming up on that Park Place beyond just covering the migration, the sensation of all of these great minds over to Skydance.
Well, of course, we're covering that, but we're also covering Tiana's Bayou Adventure and the ongoing struggle for Disney to cover up what seems like it is a lackluster theme park experience with feeding that beast of influencers and trying so hard to get animatronics to work. If only they had a big company that has worked on animatronics for maybe the last 60 years or so to help them figure out how they work. I don't know. But go over to that Park Place. We're covering the whole thing as we try to figure out what happened to the Walt Disney Company.
That's right. And folks, don't worry. Pro will get sleep next week, but not this week. Who needs sleep? Yeah, you're never going to get it. Here's the deal, folks. We've got so much coming out over this next 5-6 days. It's insane. The busiest we've ever been. On Tuesday at noon Eastern, we'll have the Pro Show as per normal. Then that evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, we will have the Acolyte Episode 3 review, where we have heard and we believe that Star Wars will finally get the final nail in the coffin. Kathleen Kennedy will reign supreme over a kingdom destroyed. Then, ladies and gentlemen, on Thursday, we are going to have the Inside Out 2 review at about 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And later, at the end of that show, we will launch this brand new media effort going from critical to creative, where we will finally be weighing in, and you can be the judge of whether or not we deserve to be critics of anything. We are going to start telling our own stories, and that begins Thursday right after the special edition of the Pro Show. All right, folks, we must go for now, but do not fret, not yet, for more content is on the way. You can help us send it out upon its way by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Are you sick and tired of stuff being swept under the rug because you or the media are too lazy to actually deal with it? Or are things just building up around you so much that you can no longer ignore it? Also like the mainstream media? Well, I got the solution for you. I'm Wilton the Troll, and I want to tell you about this revolutionary new product called Jonas. That's right, no longer do you have to put up with stuff shoved under the rug. You can actually get rid of it and dispose of the problem in seconds by using Jonas. You can, in a matter of seconds, deal with the political and illogical buildup of the muck and grime around you effectively and efficiently with Jonas. You might think this is an ordinary vacuum, But you'd be wrong. You can clean up and remove from one end, but Jonas, he actually works from both ends. From the back end, Jonas can blow a whole bunch of hot air, and that's cool. Remember folks, if you actually want to deal with the dirt and grime the mainstream media has been neglectful about, get Jonas, 'cause Jonas sucks.